Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Martians and aliens. We're not speciesists on this channel. Everybody's welcome. My name is Alan, and welcome to Mars, the Second Genesis. This is part 5, and we're going to be continuing on from where we left off in the last video. This is from Sol 241, and it was captured by the pair of mastcams. I'll just give you a pan through, and you can have a wee look. Now, I'd like to point out this here. I hope you can see it. This looks as if it's floating in mid-air. You can see it comes across there, up, and up there. You can see clearly how it's off register. It's just not sitting right in the right plane. I've obviously made a bit of an arse of it. Okay, so I'll pan across. Oh, what is this? Is it stones? No, I dunna think so, laddie, I dunna think so. We can see some sort of markings on it. Look at this piece here. There's some good stuff here. And this here, that's no stone, I can tell you that right now. And here's where, whatever it is, that looks a bit like Predator. The film looks a bit like that. God knows what this stuff is. And then there's this bit here. It looks mechanical, whatever this is. This piece here looks quite odd. The bit at the back, and this triangular piece. And we can see something in the sand, so I would imagine that's all part of the one thing. Do you see it, guys? A face, there's the eyes, the nose. It could be like a gargoyle on the front of the building, some kind of sculpture, and the bit in front of it looks like a face as well. Then again, it could be NASA playing funny buggers again. And here's our next part of the panorama. This is the part nearest the camera, so it's heavily obfuscated. But there's a few bits and pieces that are here that's worth showing. Now if you look here, see these shadows here? I think this is steps going up. We can see the same here, a shadow. And then what looks like steps. We've got a shape here. We'll start with the top half. We'll see if we can see anything. There's something here. Looks as if there's a bolt in it. And there's another triangular piece. It looks like two pieces of metal that have been laminated together. These bits here look a bit suspect as well. And this lot, curved piece. Could they be stone? Yes. Are they stone? Probably not. This looks like steps as well. See, we can see how, if you look at the shadow here, how that curves round, you can see that something's been hidden there. Same with this. Triangular piece. Yeah, NASA, that's got us fooled. Aye, right. So you can see the shadows of something here. And this here. And I don't think that's a rock either. Now if you look at this piece here, you can clearly see that that is either paving or a step. We can see the shadows here. If you look closely, you can see, I think this is steps. And look at this bit here. See, this is either paving or brickwork. You can see the straight lines. Same with this here. See, if you look at this bit in the centre here, I'll zoom in. You can see a shadow below this part, so it's hanging over. And it looks sort of mechanical, so I would say, if I had to take a guess, I would think, that's no a rock. But then again, that's just me. So we can see a line of rocks here. And that looks like steps. This may be like a wall. And you can see there's a shape here. You just need to look at it, study the sand, and you see that there's something a wee bit more than just rocks and sand. So this is our next panorama, and I'll zoom in and I'll pan across the top and then I'll do the bottom. Now, these are the rocks we've looked at before, but we're now looking at the bit over here. Oh, we'll zoom in a lot closer because there's a lot in this one. This looks like steps. Okay, so let's go in a bit closer. And we can see this is obviously not a rock. This part here as well could be brickwork. Look at this here. Could be hieroglyphs on this. Look at this up the top here. You just need to look at all this and you can clearly see that looks like hieroglyphs up the side there. I'll draw your attention to this here. That looks like a square hollow in a sand dune. I don't think so. We'll look at this, how this arcs round. It comes out like that. And we've got a shadow below it. And this here. I don't know what this is, but it's certainly not a rock. Not a natural one anyway. Now if you look in the sand, how that arcs round there. And look up top here. See all this NASA fluff covering whatever it is. But you can see the form of whatever's there. Maybe structural beams. You can see they've got clear corners here too. That's as straight as a die. That's certainly not a sand dune. Aye, right, NASA. You got us all fooled. If you look at this, it's obviously something structural. We've seen up to about here before. So if we look at all this, I mean, no way this is just rocks. I mean, look at this. These ain't sand dunes. That's just a texture that's been mapped to what was there. So you think, oh, it's just sand and rocks. Sand and rocks, my arse. This bit here. Yep, we're all fooled. Nothing here but rocks and sand and dead aliens. NASA couldn't find a microbe in a pile of dog turds. This bit at the back looks like a flat-roofed structure. Comes right along. We've got this. Now, see this at the back here? Look very carefully at the shadow. That's a structure. You can see it curves round. Well, let's examine these so-called sand dunes. Let's have a look at it. See, we see some coming across. These are coming. That seems to be coming out like 90 degrees. I would say they're some sort of structural beams. Let's take this into Photoshop, shall we? We'll take it in, and what we'll do is we'll enhance it together. We'll see if we can bring out any more detail out. So let's take a closer look at this, shall we? Right, we can see there's something there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the L to get the lasso tool, because I'm going to select a smaller area. So what we'll do is we'll try and bring out some more detail in this. So I'll make a rough selection of the area we want to enhance further. I'm going to feather it 12. So we've got to topaz adjust. We'll zoom in a wee bit. We can reset it by pressing this wee reset button at the bottom. We'll bring up the detail slider a bit. This helps to bring out the details, but you want to use this with caution. We'll take the region slider up, and as we bring up the adaptive exposure, it starts bringing out the form. The highlights are starting to burn out, so if we bring this protect highlight slider up, that brings back the exposure on the highlights, so we can bring back some detail. And I'll do the same with protect shadows, and that will open up shadows. And if you click on it, you can see before and after. We could push the processing here and crank the settings way up to bring it out in a 1A. But it's better if you do it this way, and then come out and then go back in and do the same thing again. That way you'll get less artifacts. Right, so as we can see, as before, and that's after. Right, we're starting to get a lot of grain. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And we're going to take the blur, blur it a wee bit. Now, I know that's quite blurry at the moment, but bear with me here. We'll go back in, filter, topaz labs, topaz adjust. If we zoom in again, we can actually see all this stuff coming out. So I'm going to reset it. I'm just going to bring my regions up. And we'll protect the highlights as well. We'll bring up the protect shadow slider. And we'll bring up the detail slider. So we can see there a bit more detail. And OK that. So we're starting to see shapes. We can see here we've got something. That definitely looks like a structural beam. We're bringing out some artifacts now. Unfortunately, you know, when you go in and do this level of contrast adjustment, you are going to get all this garbage with it, because they've mixed all this garbage. See all this rubbish in the sky, that grain? And we can see here patterns and shapes. We can see here, although it's blurred, we have actually gained an insight into what these are now. That's what it looked like when we started. And this is what it looks like now. And you can see that that's actually a shadow. It's not actually a dark side of a rock. It's actually a shadow. And it's part of this. It's pretty clever what they do. This looks like structural beams. You can see this, the way this continues on in the sand. Now, I don't know if we can bring any more of that out. Let's go in. We'll go into the camera raw filter now. Let's zoom on in there. The clarity is mid-tone contrast. It takes the mid-tones and makes it more contrasty, giving the illusion of sharpening. See, if you look how it's bringing things out, you know, you can see this as part of this. If you look at this area here, you can actually see what this is. Look how straight that is there. That's a structure. And you look at the back, that could be a structure, or it could be structural beams, and the structure is below that. We can increase the shadows. So that's before and that's after. See, we're starting to see through this now because we've adjusted the contrast that much. It's starting to pull the detail, you know, bringing the darks through the lighter crap that they've mapped to it. We can see that the lines, if you follow the lines, I would say, if I had to take a guess, I would say these are structural beams. See, this looks like a structural beam. This here looks like a structure. If you look at this here, across, that actually looks like a roof. Let's push this a wee bit, shall we? The dehaze slider, this is designed to increase contrast when there's, like, for example, hazy mountains or fog. So what it does is it increases contrast and it brings the details out. And this is exactly what we need to bring the darks through the white garbage that they've put over everything. So by increasing the dehaze, you're actually bringing those dark areas back through. So I think what we'll do is we'll cancel out of that, put it back the way it was, and we'll apply the same processing to the whole image. Let's have a wee look at this now. Looks very different, guys. Now that we can see it in 3D, you can actually see these are structural. Look at this here. Although it's not as sharp, because we put a 2.1 pixel Gaussian blur into it, you can see that we managed to pull some more detail out. And we can see here how they've tried to hide this structure at the back. There's the roof section. And look at this. So you can clearly see their structures. And this bit at the back, you can see that's a structure there. That there. We can see that's a series of structures. It could be structural beams. We'll zoom in a wee bit and see. Yeah, that looks like structural beams to me. You can put in the comments what you think it is. It's definitely no sand, guys. Definitely not. You look at this. So you can see this dark bit here. That looks to me like an entrance. This bit here, especially, looks like structural beams or a structure. I'll have a wee look further down. So you can see that these are definitely no rocks. That looks like maybe a wall or the side of a structure. You can see here where they put this sand down. This is obviously a structure here. You can see it clearly now. And a bit at the bottom. So you're actually seeing in the sand how it's brought the dark shadows out, so you can actually see a sort of shape. Look at this here. See, we didn't see that before. Just looked like wee triangles. We can see now that this is all structures. Look at that. That part there looks very structural, and you can clearly see the hieroglyphs on that now. I mean, that is hieroglyphs. Pretty cool, guys, eh? If they hadn't have added this sand in between these bits and pieces, you would see that's a structure. You know, all this is all part of the one thing. If you look here, you can see the shape. Could be part of that as well. Look at this arc there. And you can see that's part of this. I mean, if we're seeing this level of detail, you imagine what they're seeing. So if you look at how the lines parallel there. So if you look at this piece here as well, you can see that that is part of these. What they've done is they've just put a texture onto it. I mean, look at this here. So you never seen this centrepiece before. Now you can see all this is all one. This part looks pretty cool as well. Sharpness is not always your friend with NASA images. You know, the closer you get to the camera, the more it's obfuscated. You can actually see that's one structure, two structure, three structure. That maybe be a fourth, a fifth, and this here, sixth, in different layers. Obviously, they don't build like us. I'm going to take a stab in the dark here, guys. You may think this is funny. If you look at that, that looks like steps. Could that be like a bathtub that the wee Martians wash themselves in? You've got a set of steps, and then that looks hollow. So could that be something where they fill with water, or maybe not even water, maybe something else to wash? When you look at the front, you can see how they've obfuscated all this. You can see the shape, but look at what they've done to it. They've mapped all this garbage to it. But you can actually see a shadow. You know, you can actually see there's something there. What it is, we don't really know. But we can see some structural, maybe a structural beam. I've got this here. We can clearly see all this is all part of the one thing. the sky in these images is very, very important to let you know what is garbage and what is the real deal. So all this garbage in the sky, all this is mapped throughout the image. You can see it there. But the dominant shadows is the actual piece. That's why I blurred it, to try and get rid of this texture. Uncock your eyes just now, guys, and I want you to look at the sky here. Both images has got two totally different textures. I can't see any similarities. Now we've got a line there, no line there. We've got a bit there, it looks like two wee holes, and we've not got it here. So it's totally different. Could this actually be a continuation of structures going up the way? Absolutely, it could. Is it probable? I don't know. But what I can say is, if you look at that crap texture at the top and look at the crap texture at the bottom, we can clearly see that's a texture, I believe, is mapped to this. So if that texture wasn't there, you would see these shapes. You would see them clearly. By blurring it and doing what we did, we've actually been able to bring some of that through, and it's a wee bit easier to separate what's crap and what's not. That's one of the things I try to do early on, and that is to try to identify what's crap and what is real. Because if you don't do that, you could be showcasing things that aren't actually there to start with. And once you start doing that, all credibility of you being a reliable anomaly hunter will go right out the window. You would not believe the amount of time it takes to study these images just to identify what's garbage and what's the real deal. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll upload both images to the Google Drive, or all the images we used, including this second enhancement. Now if you look at this, and then you look at this, you can see a lot of artifacts has been brought out as well. This garbage texture, you know, if you look very closely around the edges, it's like a line, or as it's known in Photoshop, as a stroke around it. That's the sharpening process that's done that. So this enhancement process is not perfect. Unfortunately, this is what you've got to do to bring out the buried details. But it's also brought out the garbage as well. If you push it too far, all you'll do is destroy the image. So why don't we just take a look at the other images we've already had a look at with the same enhancement process. Now this one, guys, again, we're looking up. That looks like a wall we're looking at. I would say it's maybe a pyramid. If you look at it, we're not looking across a landscape. We are looking up a wall at an angle. Look at all the shadows and the way this is put together. although you can't see the texture of it, you can certainly see a bit of the shape of it. We start here and then we start going up. This is like a plateau, and we're going up again. It's like a sheer face of a pyramid. Look at that area there. This could be steps, guys. It could be part of the structure. But you can see how it all links together. So you can see the way, if you follow the shadow, it's right across. So we're looking up a structure. These buggers at NASA are not only messing with the actual image, they're messing with perspective, the 3D aspect of it. Just everything about the image is getting messed with. They just don't want us to know the truth. Look at this piece here. See the way it's out of register there? That shows they're messing with perspective. Obviously they've overlaid all this garbage. So you can see all this as part of something below the sand. You can see the face, maybe be a couple of gargoyles. But when you look at it like that, you can see how you're looking up a structure or a series of structures rather than looking across a landscape. Look at this here. So that will wrap up this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.